Hey folks, back with Ancient Cosmography. I actually just made a video like not a couple hours ago, but I need to get all these photos off my desktop, so I'm just gonna do what else I didn't have time to do in that video. If I can, yeah, here. Alright, so no. Okay, here. So this is from Hamlet's Mill. Great book that I'm reading. And, it talks about how a lot of the ancient religion is referring to astronomy. And he kind of misses the fact that a lot of it is also geography, but at least they're good for, or it's I guess a man and it was a Italian man and a German woman writing in 1969. But yeah, they really nail it pretty well on the astronomy aspect. And so here they're talking about, they talk about how there's a hill that is named Cronian because it bears the imprint of the Kronos' butt cheeks or something, the celestial posterior. So that's terrestrial. But let's see, returning to Plutarch's text, the dialogue's chatty style gives an impressive impression of casualness, but in these matters Plutarch usually knew more than he cared to discuss. There was a pilot at Kybernetes giving an announcement from the stern. So this is referring to this story from Plutarch of where they say Pan is dead. Like there's somebody on a boat and he says Pan is dead, and then people are like, oh my god. And it's pretty like weird and mysterious, like nobody understands like what it's about. So he says, there was a pilot at Kybernetes giving an announcement from the stern deck Prumni of his ship. These details seem not to be casual, for there is one stern and one pilot which cannot be overlooked in mythology. The stern is that of the constellation Argo, a ship which consists of a stern and little else. It is understood to be the ship of the dead with Osiris on board. He is the strategos of the ship according to Plutarch's Isis and Osiris. And the pilot star in the stern is Canopus itself, the site of the great Babylonian god Ea, Sumerian Enki, its name in Sumerian being Mulnunki, and Enki is the father of Tammuz, which might lead back to the trail. And so it associates it with Canopus. So this would relate to the Argonauts of the Odyssey, that they are potentially at least partly in the sky, and the boat that they're sailing on is actually this constellation Argo. But it seems to also, he says that Osiris is the pilot, and there is a boat that Osiris is in the Egyptian maps. So, this is the 5,500-year-old map. And so the boat that's mostly a prow would be this, like the Henu bark, which would be this bark here. But that's not necessarily the one with Osiris in it. It seems like that's the same one here too. But at least like in the Book of Two Ways, it places Osiris here. I mean, I'm not sure, maybe he's in here too, but I think that mostly it labels him in this boat, which is potentially referred to as the day bark, the day boat, and that this would be the night boat. So, it is clear that these boats are symbolic, and I was thinking they might just be terrestrial symbolism, because I think they partly are terrestrial symbolism, but they can very well be both terrestrial and celestial. What the goddamn stupid nonsense. All right, so let's see. Well, at least like this seems to be, these seem to relate to they seem to relate to this boat here, which is the one with Osiris in it. And it has, the boat has two heads, like one on each side, which is seem to be like the Aker symbol of like where one head is tomorrow and the other is yesterday, or one is today and one is tomorrow or something. And so it's like the boundary between days. And this guy could represent Osiris. These two are Egyptian. This is Mayan. This is Mixtec, I believe, or maybe Aztec. But this guy doesn't look like Osiris. He looks like he's Set and Horus. So I guess Jupiter and Mars. So still not clear about this Argo thing. I mean, I'm sure it does relate to at least one of these boats, but the supposition that it's Argo based, and that Argo, but either way, if Argo is primarily a stern, it's primarily the prow of the boat, then there's a very good chance this boat is Argo, and that this boat is Argo. I mean, in both cases, they're similarly placed. But that doesn't explain what these other boats are. And it could be that this boat, the day bark, which maybe this one or this one, or I'm not sure what it is on here, that is actually what that story is, Plutarch's story is about, where the captain shouts out this thing. I mean, it's hard to know. It could be like that there are multiple of these boats that are all associated with parts of the sky and parts of the earth. And see, I highly recommend Hamlet's Mill, as long as you realize that it has a huge blind spot when it comes to terrestrial stuff. It's only good at celestial stuff. See, this is from my book. It's talking about the Henu bark, which is this one right here. The next section contains a painting of what seems like the Henu bark. In the upper right of the section are these labels: Apophis, his spine, Amset, Hepi, Duamutef. So Hepi, let's see, Amset, Hepi, Duametef, Kebesenuef. So that probably means just northeast, southwest, or whatever. I think happy is like north or south. Like I think like Apophis and his spine are something probably celestial and terrestrial. But these four, I think, are the four directions. He who sees his father, he who created his own name, the four sons of Horus, Amset, Hapi, Duametev, Keptev, are seemingly not arranged in four directions. So at least in some of these versions where they're actually labeled is not like, doesn't actually show the four directions per se, but they are the four directions. But their placement still may be significant, labeled one atop the next in a downward row. Near these labels is the following text: recitation by the eldest magician. So that could be Thoth, like Mercury, it's hard to know. Or it could be Harakti. Anyway, where are you, i.e. Apophis, going? Your glance has fallen on you. Shoot him, O bowman. Overthrow him, O spearman. To the right of the boat is the label, the sun folk, the crew of Re, whose number is not known. Above the right side of the boat is the label, the entourage which is at the prow. Beneath that text, so that's like the same as prumne in Greek, I guess, for the front of the boat, or Latin, or whatever that is. Beneath that text, within the right front side of the boat, are the labels from right to left: Isis, Seth, Horus. So Venus, Jupiter, and Mars, I think. Above the left side of the boat is the label, the entourage which is at the stern. Beneath that label, within the left side of the boat, are the labels from right to left, Hu, Sia. Above the middle of the boat is the label Re. So yeah, there's definitely not Osiris labeled in that boat. So he might be, Hamlet's Mill might be confusing these two boats and just thinking that there was one celestial boat when there's actually not multiple of them. Like in the Book of Two Ways, it refers to one boat as the Mercury bark. So that's explicitly celestial, but even that may well have a terrestrial